And so that social media aspect, with me not understanding what is happening to me, that combination was really difficult. And so I got to a point where when I finally got my diagnosis, which was after 17 gynecologists and at least half a decade, I realized, oh my goodness, so many women are affected by PCOS, and we either don't talk about it or it goes undiagnosed. And both of those are huge problems. One being it can lead to ovarian cancer. It can obviously infertility. It turns into endometriosis, so many different things. And so many things can be preventable. So not only was there not enough awareness, it's also something that a lot of women feel shame over, which is really sad and unfortunate.
Welcome to Becoming Radical, the podcast for creators, builders, and dreamers just like you. What does it mean to become radical in a world of constant change? Hosted by Michael Gaizutis, each week we'll explore the real-time journeys of those rewriting the rules. From untold failures to groundbreaking success. If you're ready to break the boundaries of limited thinking, this is your guide to unlimited growth.
Welcome to Becoming Radical. We are joined here today with Sasha Pieterse. Thank you so much for being here today. So excited to be here with you. I know we had a chance to talk for a few minutes and we had great conversation already. So I'm excited to keep this going with you and really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much, Michael, for having me. I'm so glad. This is a great opportunity. I love what you're doing here, and I appreciate that you want me to chat about what I'm up to.
100%. So we know you from Pretty Little Liars. I think you're most well known for that, but you've got a lot of things going. Yes. Yeah. So what happened with Pretty Little Liars? Can you tell our listeners and viewers what that was all about?
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you the quick rundown
Please.
to make the most sense. I've been acting for almost 25 years now, which is wild. You're right. I would say I'm most known for Pretty Little Liars, a character called Allison De Laurentiis. She's very infamous if you know the show. It was a wonderful experience. We were so lucky in so many ways. We launched right when Twitter was becoming popular. So we were one of the first shows, or if not the first show, to live tweet and really connect with an audience around, in our entire globe, which shows weren't able to do that before. So that was a very unique experience, which came with a lot of upsides and some negatives. So that kind of kickstarted the social media aspect of my life. And, that was before influencers were called influencers and all of the things. So and that was already, oh my gosh, that was really like 15 years ago. That's so bizarre to say. But it's been a wonderful journey. Acting will always be my first love.
That's so cool. Incredible. Really incredible. And, it's a springboard to everything else, right? So totally. You're acting, you're performing just like you are in business. You're bringing that over to what you're doing in the world. Yeah, just a different stage, right? That's all it is.
True.
Stage. And you have directors, which are your board or your advisors. So there's a crossover there. It's pretty cool. And it seems like that crossover has really succeeded for you in building now Hippie Water, which is really, really cool and exciting. What is Hippie Water all about? And how did your personal health experiences really shape what you're doing with that product?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this actually ties into Pretty Little Liars as well. I was 12 when I shot the pilot, 13 when the first season came out and we were filming. And I was the youngest on the show. Everyone was already in their 20s. We were all playing high school. So I was the rare hire where I was still a minor playing a high school student. And so I really grew up on the show, from graduating high school early to, getting my driver's license to, by the end of the show, I got engaged to my now husband. So I did a lot of life on camera on that show. And yeah, so cool, so amazing. So the flip side is that I was also dealing with so many health issues and could not figure out what they were. And so part of that is my PCOS. So I have polycystic ovary syndrome, which is a hormone disease, essentially, to simplify it. And it's very visual. So for women, or it's I believe only women, it's connected to your ovaries. they have different types of symptoms. A lot of it is external though, so weight gain, hair issues, high testosterone, things that are not normal for our bodies. Infertility is a big one. Depression, anxiety. I mean, it's wrapped up. It loves to throw everything at you, and because of that, my body was changing on camera, and so that social media aspect, with me not understanding what is happening to me, that combination was really difficult. And so I got to a point where when I finally got my diagnosis, which was after 17 gynecologists and I mean, at least half a decade, I realized, oh my goodness, so many women are affected by PCOS, and we either don't talk about it or it goes undiagnosed. And both of those are huge problems. One being it can lead to ovarian cancer. It can obviously infertility. It turns into endometriosis. So many different things, and so many things can be preventable. So not only was there not enough awareness, it's also something that a lot of women feel shame over, which is really sad and unfortunate. Um, so I started being really vocal about it, and I realized how much I needed that community, and I didn't have it, and I wish I did, which is a big portion of what led me to start my podcast, Women in the Nude. And we deal with women in business, women's health, mental health, just in general, really cool stories from women. Any cool woman, I want you on my show. And the way that weaves into Hippie Water is mainly because like I have a cookbook. Like I love socializing, I love entertaining, and alcohol just is naturally a big part of that. You know, you're celebrating your, brunch, champagne, wine for dinner, whatever it is, your parties. We used to host Friendsgivings and Halloween parties and like had so much joy in that. But alcohol just was not fitting into my lifestyle anymore. I couldn't ignore the fact that it was making my health issues worse. I also have epilepsy, and sleep is the number one enemy for that. And alcohol disrupts your sleep. So it was just this constant tug and pull. I felt like I was mourning a social loss, because if I wasn't doing that, it was like connected to like, well, now I can't. There's a portion of something that I love that I'm not able to do anymore, and I wasn't necessarily happy with that sparkling water in my hand. It was boring. It wasn't like the art of making a cocktail, or it was missing magic. And I was talking to my really good friend Taylor about it, and my frustration. And she was saying, that's funny, I'm also cutting back on alcohol for her own reasons. She has kidney issues, and similar. We've known each other for over 10 years. I married her and her husband, Alex. They came to my husband Hudson and I's wedding for their honeymoon. We've gone through a lot of life together as well. And she said, I'm trying cannabis beverages right now. And I was like, you can drink weed? What? I had no idea that was a thing. And it was it still is, but it was a very new industry at that time. And weed was never a part of my life. It was not something that I grew up with. I signed DARE. My parents were like, weed, meth, same thing. Don't cross that line. And as much as I had friends that smoked, but it was never, and it was totally fine, but I just had a mental block. Like, nope, that's not for me. That's bad. Who knows what'll happen if that, and I had tried an edible here and there, and didn't really love that. I apparently have a high tolerance. I did not realize, because I just never felt like I was getting affected by anything. And it wasn't my thing. And so she convinced me. She was the peer pressure woman in my life. She convinced me to try some.
The person behind the fence, right? She was on the other side of the fence. Yeah,
totally. She convinced me to try some, and I hated almost every single one that I tried, or they would not. They were not like aligning with what I needed, which was mainly for my health. So they'd be too sugary or too many carbs, or they would still taste like weed. Like, I don't want to drink bong water. I'm the type of person that if I am going to pick a substitute, I have to actually enjoy it. Otherwise, I can't fool myself. And I haven't told you all that I should tell you about Taylor. Taylor is a big part of the story. She is my co-founder. She is our CPO. Taylor has been coined the beverage queen by Taco Bell. She spearheaded their beverage line. She has worked for McDonald's, Nestle, in international, domestic. She has fed you to some capacity. She's an incredible food scientist, incredible woman. And so we kind of looked at each other and we're like, we should just make our own.
Yeah.
And it started as this fun little idea. Alex, our my co-CEO, has been in startups and scaling for over 10 years. My husband, Hudson, has been in marketing and producing and my side of the camera, or behind the camera, should I say, for the same amount of time. And the four of us were just kind of like, you know what, we could actually do this thing. This is something that is actually attainable. And the four of us bootstrapped Hippie Water. By the time that we launched our first SKU, or our first 3 SKUs, we did it for under 200.
Good for you guys.
Which is really awesome. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey. We're still babies. It's been 8 months, and incredible progress since then. But I do want to just touch on one little thing, which is I never would have put my face on something like this if I couldn't stand behind it. And so that authentic voice is so true. Like, this is a product. It's a selfish product. It's something that has changed my life. And so that is the only reason I'm willing to talk about it with other people and stand behind it. And I'm really proud of what we've created. I'll let you speak now, so it's not just
no, you're fine. No, you're not stealing the show. This is your show. We're excited to have you. Talk about you and your journey. So that is so cool, and honestly, so many great things come out of so many difficult things. We lose sight of that, but the big roadblocks in life, the things that are epic disasters, or so it seems, right, are really enlightening and empowering and allow you to not just change yourself, but impact others, right? It's almost like a full reveal. And that impact can take you to a whole nother dimension, right? You're able to see things so differently. And as it starts shaping other people, as more people drink Hippie Water and they see the same effects, they see the same positives happening from, consuming that, just like you do, it's just such a validation as to why you've created this, right? It co-validates all of that, which is so big. So how is that dynamic, building this with your close friends, your husband? That must be a lot of fun, right? To be able to do that with them.
Yeah. Absolutely. We when we started, we always said to each other, we're breaking the first rules, which is don't get into business, should I say, with friends and family. And here we are. But honestly, it has worked out so well. And I think the main reason for that is just because not only do we all really respect each other, but we also all have different lanes. And we knew we are playing into each other's strengths. We're going to lean in. Taylor was able to get our SKUs for nothing based on relationships. So we have these beautiful formulations that are proprietary, juices that come from Italy. I mean, stuff that we wanted to create such a premium product, but at the same time, thankfully, we had her, because if we didn't have her, we'd be, 75, 100, 150K a SKU, just to start. So we were able to create something beautiful without spending money in that department. Alex built our entire website and all of the functions for it.
It's gorgeous. I mean, honestly, we're on the other side of my life. We've done a lot around web and digital experience, and your site is gorgeous. You guys have a beautiful site, so it's very fluid.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
very.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
and then Hudson and I, working together. Ultimately, all of our growth so far has been 100% organic, which is amazing. So, we wanted to always make sure that we kept the lens of let's lean into our strengths. We're each here for a reason, and we never want to ever pretend that we are the smartest in the room. We have never worked in the cannabis space before. This is all of our first time, and so every hire is strategic. Every relationship that we make is because we want to make sure that we are learning, and that we are putting the right people into place that know better than us. And so far, so good. I'm going to say, I will say I'm really proud of our team. We are a team of 7 now. Actually, that's a lie. We are a team of 9 as of yesterday. So
it just went up.
Yeah, it just went up. Yeah. So it's been an amazing experience, and it's been a huge part or a huge priority for us to create a great culture where that message resonates, where we all respect each other and we all respect each other's lanes. And we talk about big ideas, big opinions that when the company makes a decision, no matter what, you fall in line and you do it to the best of your ability. So we want all of the ideas. And then once we decide on something, we're all united. We're a united front. So,
that's amazing.
For basically just 9 months, we're doing great.
Wow. That's incredible. To me, it feels like you're building what I would call a radical legacy brand. You're building something from the ground up that is changing and challenging everything, right, in the space as a category leader that will eventually grow into something insanely meaningful, right? Insanely viable and have a lot of velocity behind it. And that takes courage, you know? It takes courage. It takes, like you said, respect with your team. It takes a lot of understanding of what's missing in the market, to be a little selfish because you're building it for you first, but you're also realizing that others want it too. What do you think were some of the biggest challenges in creating this THC beverage that tastes great, has clean ingredients, and also delivers a consistent experience for people?
I appreciate you highlighting that. Yeah, just so for the listeners, if you've never heard of Hippie Water, we're under 30 calories. We are low sugar, no sugar added. It comes from our 15% juice from Italy. We are, our priority is safety, taste, quality. Yeah, I would say, this industry being so new is both such an advantage and such a disadvantage at the same time. The pros are that you don't often come across an industry that is so young that you can jump in and become a leader so quickly. The downside to that is there's not a lot of people that have paved the way. We have some big players that have, and we're thankful for them. And it's one of those double-edged swords. So with our particular industry, the hemp-derived THC beverage space, our biggest hurdle is education. Not only between marijuana and hemp, but also just the fact that you can drink the beverage. And our biggest hurdle, I would say, is destigmatizing what it actually is. So for a really quick little science lesson, one that I did not know until I got into the space, marijuana and hemp are sister plants. They both produce THC, they both produce hemp. Molecularly, they both THC and CBD, they molecularly are the exact same. So when somebody says, "Oh, that the hemp THC doesn't give me the same high," it's actually placebo. They are molecularly the exact same, especially when it comes from the mother liquor. So it's been fascinating to see that type of education miss. And so that obviously plays a lot into what the consumer looks for. It also plays into legislation. So we are federally legal under the Farm Bill, which is awesome. So hemp businesses like ours, we bank normally. We get all of our tax write-offs. We're a C Corp. We can ship through the U.S. Post Office, which is wild.
Yeah.
Ship across state lines of over 38 states. It's a very unique portion of this market, and we're at the stage now where a lot of states are making their own laws, and that's great. So you're always having to stay on top of regulation. But there's an unfortunate dynamic here when it comes to marijuana and hemp, because marijuana, that industry, has overcome so many obstacles and still has so many in front of them. And it's a little unfortunate because the hemp industry is reaping those benefits. However, we shouldn't be fighting ourselves. We should be joining forces. And when we got into Hippie Water, we were initially going to go the marijuana route. And then we decided, no, why wouldn't we take advantage of what we could be doing with my fans and also this industry where we can just, we can grow our business so much faster. So it's a little complicated there, but ultimately I would say destigmatizing what it actually is, especially when you're comparing it to alcohol. I never want to take as much as we don't want to call our product a vice product, it still is. You should still be 21 to drink it, or 21 or over to drink it. You should never operate any machinery while you're under the influence. It is still very much something that is a controlled substance, and I never want people to get lax on that. However, so much better for you. It really is a wellness beverage in so many ways. There's not a lot of things where you can get a no compromise situation, where you can relax,
Right.
You can wind down, you can really enjoy your environment. Then you get to sleep well, and you don't wake up with a hangover.
Yeah,
In
totally.
what world,
No.
in our adult life, do we actually get to experience something like that? And it's just been right here all along. So it really is. There really are so many benefits to it, and I'm excited for where the industry is going.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. It's very cool. And, I think as people dig deeper into this industry, into this space, they understand that cannabis derived, cannabis infused, CBD, all these different layers can be really anti-inflammatory. They actually help to regulate what's called the Th17 receptor in the brain. So there's a lot of things that happen to downregulate, a dysregulated system. I've learned a lot about that, just like you, from health complications, health problems, chronic health issues. And as you start to understand more of this, it could be really helpful for you, and you can actually navigate it with a different lens. And you're right. Unfortunately, we have a long way to go, but fortunately, there is a long way to go. So we can make a lot of impact. So that's the positive side
That
to
is
it.
a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you and Taylor specifically approach flavor development? What makes Hippie Water stand out from other cannabis drinks on the market from a flavor profile perspective?
What's really cool about having Taylor on board is that she originally studied in food law. So when it comes to safety and all of our documentation, everything that we need, she knows not only how to do it, but everything that we need, which is incredible. On the formulation side, she has done, literally, obviously, lab making the product, but also understanding what consumers want. Part of her career before Hippie Water was figuring out what people are going to want next year or the year after.
Yeah.
What trends are going to be,
Yeah.
what people are looking for, what they don't like, what they do like, what's trendy, all of the things. And so I think, ultimately we picked our flavors for a couple of reasons, not only because of true actual hard data, which is always important. But then, yes, we took that, and then we took into account what our personal stories and preferences are. And so we've got 3 SKUs. My personal favorite is one that I asked for. I said, I want a peach drink. And so Garden Party is peach, ginger, and lemon. And it's so refreshing. Nothing is ever too sweet. It's really, really delicious and light. And Island Getaway is watermelon chili lime. It's very much like you're eating a watermelon with tahini on it, with
Wow.
lime.
That's amazing.
And that comes from Alex and Taylor's honeymoon. So there's a special moment there for them. Winter Groove is more of our a nod to a sangria. It's pomegranate blood orange. But just to show you how dynamic Taylor is, there are notes in there that we haven't necessarily labeled for you, but as far as the formulation goes, it's in there. There's a note of cinnamon. We have hibiscus in our drinks. Like there are things that are just so faintly there that make our drinks special. And it's not just like your white labeled lime, lemon, grapefruit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's a lot of love and thought into what we brought into the can. So it's been
You're
fun
not just another beverage brand. You're creating this beautiful, bountiful experience that is boldly brilliant and different from everything else out there. And that's so cool because it tracks back to you as your friends, with you, your husband, with everything you've built, your experiences, your journeys. It almost reminds me of like the show, not to plug, but like the White Lotus show, right? They're all going to all these different resorts, right?
Right.
And that's popular. It's trending. My wife loves White Lotus. She loves it.
Absolutely. It's great.
Everybody loves it. So it's a cool show. But everything is thematic, but it has a story. It has intentionality. It's very cool. And I feel like that's what's happening with you and with Hippie Water and what you guys are creating. It's really exciting. How do you feel like, you have these two sides. It's the delicate dance. It's the Gemini. There's the two sides, right? As Chris Rock would say, because I'm Gemini, right? You're going to die twice, right? So,
I like that.
So at the end of the day, how do you balance being product first and not just celebrity first, being as how you came from, the field of acting? You have a lot of ties to that space. How do you balance that, the public persona with the brand authenticity and what you're rolling out with Hippie Water?
I really appreciate you bringing that up. We thought about this from the very beginning. As much as, it's weird to talk about myself like this, but for a business perspective, as much as I am an asset and celebrity founded companies are in general desirable, we knew from the very beginning that we wanted our product to stand by itself. Not because it's for any other reason other than we knew that in order for people to come back, in order for it to actually serve its purpose, in order for it to be, eye level on the shelf, desirable, work deeply, it needed to be something that was delicious. And we also wanted to make sure that it was something that wasn't just a great cannabis beverage, but it was a great beverage in general. Something that was kept to a standard of, no, this is just a really delicious beverage, not just sort of serving a purpose that I need it for. So I think, when you look at those desirable celebrity founded businesses, ultimately the product is great.
100%.
And it fills that hole, and it's something that, people want to continuously buy or learn about. I when we were in our pre-seed rounding, that was really what it was. It was like, how involved are you going to be in the product? Are you just a face? Are you just going to be posting about it occasionally? Or is this something that like actually means something to you? Is it white labeled? What type of flavors are in it? And those are really important questions when you're trying to decide not only if you want to invest in a celebrity founded company, but what you're actually building as that company in general. So
100%.
It was definitely something that we were thinking of from the very beginning. And I always knew that it wouldn't work if we didn't have a good product.
That makes total sense. I had a great conversation, and I'm talking to him more and more every day, with Scott Vandenberg.
I love him so much.
Cool guy from Hot Start VC.
Awesome. Yeah.
He's an awesome guy. And I'm glad assuming you talked to him many times, which is cool.
Scott is one of our biggest cheerleaders.
Good.
We did a celeb syndicate with him in our first rounds. And
excellent.
Yeah, and working with Hot Start, like they are phenomenal. But Scott in general is just such a connector, such a supporter. Yeah, awesome guy.
He is. Love that he's incredible. He's very honest, and I think that honesty is so required when you're building anything. Without being totally cutthroat, you want to be honest. You want to inform it. You want to guide it, and I think that's the key: the duality between being product brand first and also having that power behind you as an asset, as a celeb, as somebody who's been in that space, who has that network. It's really helpful, but being product led is huge. And I agree. I think the best products will stand the test of time, and you're just amplifying, which is huge. And that amplification adds a lot of great value, which is awesome.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. When you think about, you talked about this, which is great, destigmatizing cannabis, promoting wellness alternatives to alcohol. How do you feel like your role specifically and the product, stands as a positioning, as a platform to really destigmatize this space?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a couple of, at least my opinions towards that. One is that, I guess originally what we thought our persona was going to be was Gen Z. If you look at, what's going on with the alcohol side, value is down. People aren't drinking as much. Gen Z just are not there. That's just not their pastime like it was for millennials and generations before that.
No, so yeah, you're right.
We just went into it thinking, okay, wow, well, we're going to fill this gap. And I do have a large portion of Gen Z followers. And so we were not concerned about that. It was like, great, we fit this. And early on, we realized, oh, wait, no, that's actually not it. It's the millennial. It's the me, which is even better, which is my largest demographic. It's myself. It's me juggling a ton of work, being a mom, needing sleep, needing to rest, needing, that wind down routine that's not going to bite me in the ass later. And so it's like I'm marketing to myself, which is awesome.
That's really cool.
I think in this market, there's certain things that work and certain things that don't. What's hard about beverages in the cannabis side is that which I guess any CPG business, you want to understand your consumer and you want to be able to hone into who they are. A high tolerance user is most likely not going to grab for our can. We're 5 milligrams. We are for the canna curious. We are for the people that aren't necessarily going to go into a dispensary, that are going to, replace their wine, their beer, their cocktail. They're looking for a replacement or an alternative, rather than like a longtime user cannabis, person. I'm describing that terribly, but somebody that wants like 100 milligram gummy. You know what I mean? That's not necessarily our target, and that's okay. But it's like, how do we grab those people? And I think what's important right now is not just a familiar face, but a familiar look. The reason that cannabis beverages work for our category is because people miss having something in their hands. Just like I miss that sparkling water. I don't have to go outside and smoke so that I don't get it in front of my kids, or that I'm not the odd one out at the party. And I think that's the thing, right? It's like, it's oral fixation. It's something in your hand. It's understanding what the overall message of alcohol means, not just getting you drunk. And so it's psychological, but then it's also something that feels safe and friendly and familiar. So somebody that's looking for an alternative is going to want something that mimics what they enjoy about something that they're giving up. And that's really what, that's what that is. Our can, our actual liquid in our can, beautiful colors. When you pour it into a glass, they're vibrant, and come from our juice. Everything's natural, no added colors. But what's great about that is that you get that feeling of mixing a cocktail. You can make a cocktail if you want. You can make a mocktail. You can, pour it into a fancy glass, put tahini on the rim, and you still have that experience. So it's all very experience based. It's another thing that I want to say just about our category, not just our beverage, is that I'm making a lot of really amazing friends with other cannabis businesses, other beverages. And what's awesome about what I'm seeing right now is that we're creating a high shelf. There are a lot of beverages in our category now, but what we are seeing, those front runners are providing value to our consumers in different ways. We're getting our spirits and our mixers from a company like Pomos. We are getting our regular sparkling water that is an any time of day beverage with dope water. We are getting our Arizona iced tea from Uncle Arnie's. We are getting different parts of the industry to kind of create that familiar zone that you would with alcohol. Because when you go into a liquor store, you generally speaking know what you're going to go for. If it's wine, if it's tequila, if it's whiskey, whatever it is, it's so familiar and it's not something that you have to question. And we want that same environment when it comes to the cannabis hemp beverage industry. And we're seeing that. We are seeing those people rise to the top and separate themselves from the confusion. Another thing that we want to say about the industry is just that, it's the point of entry is very easy. You have cannabis and you put it in some liquid and you put it in a can. But that does not equal longevity. We don't want this industry to become like the craft beer space. There has to be a level of separation there, and you'll start to see it, especially as regulations change and get a little bit stricter. You'll see those companies that kind of just put a product out there start to disappear, and based on just price and quality, you'll see that separation, and so that will come naturally. But we're already seeing big alcohol players come into the industry, which is a good sign. They're seeing, okay, we're down in this department. You either you join them or you die, sort of a thing. So
right, exactly.
It'll be fun. The next couple of years are going to be super interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a little thing that you did at Total Wine. Is that right? I was
yes.
looking. Yeah, how'd that go?
Amazing. So Total Wine has been an awesome partner for us.
Cool.
We were
I love
not.
Total Wine.
I do too. Absolutely. Yeah. We did not expect to get into distribution as early as we did. That was amazing. Like a 6 to 8 month goal when we started the company, that we'll start really trying to break in. We thought D2C was going to be our initial focus. We got into Total Wine really early, which was wonderful. We expected maybe 1 or 2 stores they were going to try us out in. They came back with 3 states. And since then we are at 9, about to be a couple more, but yeah, so it's been an amazing journey. So we like to, as much as we can, go into those stores, do tastings, support them. Another amazing thing that you're seeing is bigger mainstream players come in, like DoorDash. You can actually DoorDash Hippie Water from Total Wine in certain states, really? Which is awesome. So I
might have to DoorDash in a few minutes after this podcast.
Yeah. Well, what state are you in, Michael?
California.
Okay. Yeah. So here's a downer. Yeah. I will say, and this is a perfect example of the industry. I know. So hemp in September was banned in California, which in so many ways makes no sense. And then actually it's a huge bummer, not just for, our pocket naturally, but because of how many businesses actually suffered because of this.
Right.
It makes no sense. The overall reason was they think that the hemp beverage industry was marketing to children, which is absolutely incorrect. The only place that we could sell brick and mortar was a liquor store and mainly Total Wine. So, if you're underage or you're bringing your kids into Total Wine, that's on you. Every product you buy, you have to be 21 or over. But this is what is interesting about the overall vice industry, if you will. You can go into a regular grocery store and buy the vodka warhead flavor infused popsicles right next to your regular popsicles. So it's like, if we take a step back here, I want everything to be safe. I have a kid. I don't want him having access to anything that he shouldn't. But if we are going to look at it through that lens, you need to ban everything, or you need to understand that stores are going to regulate the way that they're going to regulate. And it's actually down to the store checking your ID and what you're purchasing. So it's complicated. I think most of us in the industry expect a state like California to eventually change its mind and come back to the table. Honestly, mainly just because of money.
Right.
At the end of the day, we are legal. We are paying taxes. This is set to be, a multi-billion-dollar industry, and that's just in general one reason to keep it open, keep the door open. I don't think you can put the cat back in the bag at this point.
Makes total sense. Yeah, it's crazy. California, you have to love it, but crazy town over here.
I know,
sometimes.
It's so frustrating sometimes.
It really is. How do you ensure Hippie Water resonates with consumers beyond your existing fan base? So think expandability. Yeah. What does that look like for you guys typically?
Yeah, I mean, up until this point, because we're such babies, like I said before, it's been organic growth, which is amazing, but that is not a forever plan. Ads are going to be a huge portion of that. So turning on ads has been really nice very recently. So we're already seeing that becoming pretty fruitful. I think, yes, it's fun to utilize my platform as much as we can, and we will always do that. But it's who you're appealing to. Yes, we are female leaning, based not just on me, but the milligram, the look of the can, all of those things. But we don't want to disclude anybody either. So I think it's all about drilling down, not wide, when it comes to like our states that we are most popular in, getting down to those states and really understanding our consumer, investing in the community itself, figuring out where they're drinking it, why they're drinking it, where they're drinking it, and really putting our value there. When I go to tastings, it's awesome to see how many locals just show up because that's their favorite liquor store and that's how they found our product. It could be because of me. It might not be. And if it isn't, why? We're really big on data and trying to figure out where people are finding us or why they're not finding us and their flavor profiles and that sort of thing. So I guess to narrow it in, it's more about putting our product in spaces for brand awareness that is actually not necessarily attached to me. So we'll already start figuring out like, okay, if I don't collaborate with that post, who's responding to it? Who are we actually reaching when it's not me involved? And so we're constantly keeping an eye on that and finding, the holes and how do we fill them strategically? What makes the most sense? And as a baby company, as we grow with time, we'll have more resources to make a bigger impact. But right now, that's we're trying to like reveal all of the layers so that within the company we can figure out where we need to lean in more.
That makes total sense. What strategies do you think have enabled such a rapid expansion for Hippie Water today?
I think there's, again, multiple ways to answer that. I mean, I think for our brand itself, I think, relationships. Me being able to lean into a couple of relationships. Total Wine is a great example. Total Wine has launched us in so many ways because not only is it such a huge get, they're such an incredible store and such an incredible partner, but also it's immediately getting our brand awareness just based on new states that would be harder for us to reach. D2C it's obviously expensive to ship water. Anybody that's in the CPG space that's shipping heavy things knows what I'm talking about. And so, when we initially went in thinking that was going to be our focus, it was like, I was a huge part of that. Social media, organic growth, D2C, those things, 1+1 = 3 sort of a thing in that scenario. Because we had to shift gears, which was a very awesome surprise. We realized that we can be a little bit more strategic where we place me. And, I would say that ultimately it was a mixture of hard work and lots of preparation, which is really where luck comes from. Right. So,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a mixture. Hopefully that answers kind of what you're, asking.
You did a great job. No, I appreciate that. If we think about goals, I love to think about this, right? When I think about goals, I think Matthew McConaughey. I think, all right. Right? I think that guy. I think I'm going to write it down. If I don't write it down, it doesn't happen, right? So
manifestation.
For Hippie Water, next 3 to 5 years, what are your goals in terms of product innovation, also market reach and growth? Yeah. What does that look like for you guys, you think?
Big question. And I love that question. I think right now we understand that we purposefully not signed any crazy distribution contracts. So Total Wine does their own in-house version of that, and we ship direct. And so up until this point, we've avoided really sticky contracts. And that's not a forever thing. We're at the position now, the way that we've grown, how quickly we've grown, that we realize that now is the time to start making strategic distribution plans. So that's a short answer there. As far as big picture, a couple of things. We have a lot of things up our sleeve. We want to utilize Taylor, not just for LTOs, but also just different product innovation that we've got going on that I'm really excited about. And kind of what I nodded to earlier, which is really understanding your space and creating more options for the consumer that are, familiar in lots of different ways.
Absolutely.
And then also licensing. I want to get to the place in the next 5 years where we are being very strategic about not only what we want to do under the Hippie Water name, but also under the Hippie Water umbrella. We want to build the space. We want to be leaders in the space. Big portion of this for us is the media aspect. We also consider ourselves a media company. And so when it comes to building out education in the space, long short form content, docuseries, podcasts, that sort of thing. We have a big vision of what we will be in 5 years. And I truly do feel like we will be able to achieve that as a leader in the space. And so giant possibilities in the industry as a whole. We will see those alcohol people come into play. They already are. I am dedicated to this business. I think what everybody, wants is a great exit at the end of the day, and we will set ourselves up as best as we can for that. But we see the potential in the space, and we are really, we're scrappy, we're gritty, we're going to do this. We've done it, a lot up until now, and we're here for the long haul as far as that work goes. It's really fun. It's really exciting. I can't give you like a firm answer because obviously no one can predict the future, but 5 years, I think we'll be at a really good spot to assess.
It's incredible. It's really cool. And I know you'll do it, and the key is, you have to have that belief and that conviction. I think what did I explain it as the other day? I called it back, right? So you need belief, you need action, you need confidence, right? And you need knowledge. So you need all 4 of those things working harmoniously together because, a belief, anybody can have belief, but what do you do with it, right? And how do you access more knowledge? And how do you get that network to spread it and help it grow, almost like a huge garden that you have, right? So at the end of the day, I think it's all those things. Just as you said, luck is defined by all of those things. So it's not just one, but it's the perfect harmony. So you guys will do it. I have no doubt. You're on your way to big things and very exciting things that actually change people and help people, which is cool.
Thank you. And I really, really appreciate that. It made me, it reminded me of like the believe sticker for Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
I resonate with that a lot. And I appreciate that. I'm just going to throw another pun out there. It's like your backbone, right? It's like, it's really what makes or breaks you. So,
Exactly.
I completely agree.
How has your experience as an actress, you think influenced your approach to entrepreneurship and leadership? For all those listening today, how do you think that crossover has taken effect?
I will say at first, I've never done something like this. So in the very beginning, it was like, how much, and I still definitely, how much can I learn as fast as I can? But it was very much a crash course of like, okay, in reality, I'm dedicated to this. So what does it mean to be a CEO? I've never been a CEO before. And to your point, I have really found so many parallels between my industry and this one. And it's always about starting at the top. When it comes to my job as an actress, when I walk on set, if I'm at the top of the call sheets, it starts with me. I set the tone. I set the day, what the vision is going to be. The vibe on set. Which is the vibe in the office. It's like, how do I get these people to work together? How do we all find something that we can relate to? How do I make the best work environment so that we can all enjoy what we're doing and that people want to come back to work and believe in what we're doing and our journey together. I would say that like day-to-day office side is actually very similar to being on set. Set is my happy place. That I call it summer camp. It's a mixture of people from all different walks of life, and we're making something special. We're also in it for a long time. It's a lot of hours in a day. And if you are not making that day enjoyable, it's going to suck for everybody. And so in that respect, on a day-to-day side, it's actually very similar. And so I feel on one side that is so much fun for me, and then on the other side, it's that pressure to like create something awesome that people love, and I thrive on that. On the other side of it, when it comes to more of, I would say, like the outward business side, it's very similar to what I deal with when it comes to making a good impression. My job is to reach you, whether that's the consumer and how I put my brand across, or whether that's the investor or the executive or the store owner, whoever you are. My job is to present this as something that is impactful, desirable, and I need you to believe in me. And so those things are all very similar. And I've been doing one for 25 years, and I've learned a lot in that space. And I've learned, do's, don'ts, and everything in between, what I like, what I don't like. And so I think that has greatly helped me when it comes to stepping into this role. And still doing both at the same time is also, interesting. I'm acting, I'm writing, I'm producing, I'm doing lots of different things at the same time, and they all help each other. But that's a big workload. And so being able to actually have something that I have to act very similarly alongside is actually very helpful. I don't feel like, as much as I'm putting on different hats, they actually work very seamlessly together. And that's an asset, because if that was not the case, I think it would be a lot harder.
Yeah, it's great. A lot of people say don't follow your passion, things you enjoy. But I think as life goes on more, as I learn more every day, right? I think when you're excited about something, maybe not even passionate, but excited, you wake up, you're like, wow, I feel like I'm giving something more, than I ordinarily would doing this or this or this, right? And that could be acting, it could be running a company, it could be helping somebody that you're excited to help. It could be anything, right? If you're excited about it, something to get up and actually talk about and move around and do things and interact and get people equally as excited about what you're doing. It goes a long way. So I love that you have so many things there that are exciting you. And this is one of those big things with Hippie Water, which is really cool.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And yeah, just to add to that, I completely agree. But also, I think we are at a unique phase with, I would say, I don't want to say older millennial, but kind of the older millennial and under. I think we've actually truly understood that if we can create something that we really enjoy that also makes us money, that is actually the goal. That is the goal, is to feel like we're not working every day. And millennials are definitely guilty of burning out. We definitely have not learned our lesson there. And I think Gen Z are kind of understanding that maybe there's a way to do both. But that sweet spot in there is really like, let me make my job something that I get up and love to do every day. I don't have to kill myself, 80 hours a week in a job that I hate just to tick that box of like, I've worked hard in my life. That doesn't, it's not only does it suck in the process. And I mean, I respect everybody that has done that, but we are also not reaping the benefits at the end of the day when it comes to retirement. So if you are going to work that hard, make sure it's something that you love. Not everybody gets that opportunity. It's a privilege to do it. But if you can and you create that space, it becomes one of the most rewarding things in your life. And that's a really cool position to be in. So I'm hopeful as well with Gen Z that they kind of, I mean, they're innovators anyway. And that you can tell like that. And the influencer space is actually it's an interesting one because I think so many people have a negative lens on it. And I understand that. And I will say I was guilty of that in the beginning. The acting side is also like a different animal when it comes to that. But I will say, I think that it takes incredible bravery to be an influencer, because not only are you putting yourself out there, not a character, but it is a very hard job. Your job never ends. You are constantly thinking about what's next, what's new. You are looking at data, you are creating, you are editing, you're doing everything yourself most of the time. And you are building something. Whether that is about a skincare line, whether that is about your favorite outfit, or whether that's a tech company. You are doing something that no one else has been able to do before up until this generation. And so I think it's really special, and it's something to respect and implement in any way that you can. There's a reason why they are so effective at selling products.
Absolutely. Creator space is huge. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. And it's a direct line to people that are actually purchasing the product. And it is a very special, unique time when it comes to advertising and marketing. And I think it is very much that, like, you either understand it and you adapt, or you lose.
Adapt or die. Moneyball. Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then in the acting space, it's interesting because an interesting shift in the industry has become very much like you can be hired or fired based on your following. That follower count, or somebody will get hired instead of you, not necessarily because they were better for the role or more talented or what, but because their followers were bigger or they were more influential. And so I think that was a really hard pill for a lot of people to swallow in the industry, which is totally understandable. And you do have those like, no, I won't be on social media sort of a thing. But that is a luxury. The only people that are actually willing to or are able to do that are A-listers already. It's really hard to be successful in our industry now without some sort of following or some sort of loyal base of some kind.
100%. Yeah. I love social media. I'm not going to lie. I love it. I love the opportunity. And with that, though, comes a cost. You're right. And you have to navigate it. It's balance. You have to be like, okay, where's the value add? How do I add more value? How do I create more impact? Right? How do I help people? And I think if we looked at it differently, like, it's almost like the Academy Awards, right? The Oscars, when actors and actresses go on stage. And, for a long time, I never really understood this. But then over time, it became clear when they had a message, a positive message to promote something, world peace, solving whatever it was, right? It could just be they want to promote this pair of shoes. I don't know. But the whole point was they never really understood it. But then as time goes by, their influence is so great, right? That they want to create and elicit positive change. So that's a good thing, And I think that's where we can really harness the potential of that to help people, to create that impact, to empower people. And if we look at it so much differently than it's just another vice, it's another outlet that could be negative, flip it, and actually help somebody. Like you said, create a new creator, somebody that was never there, the next Mr. Beast, the next so-and-so, right? Give them that opportunity. The next Hippie Water, there's somebody coming and they'll be looking at you for that wisdom and that guidance. And you guys are the ones they're going to look towards. So it's really cool.
Appreciate that. And everything that you said, I agree with. Yeah, it should be looked at as a unique opportunity. And I think it's so easy to focus on all of the negatives. But there are so many positives in that space. And I think and again, double-edged sword, sure. But one of the biggest reasons why I love social media is the fact that now so many people have access to information that they never had before. And I think that's where the negativity actually, that lens comes from. It's actually less about there being more negative things in the world and more about the fact that people actually know about it now. We were in echo chambers. We were in our small towns. We were in our own countries. We didn't know what was going on the other side of the world unless it was just something that was like mutually agreed upon to be broadcasted. Now we have a much bigger lens, and that creates problems, but also solutions. And it's really remarkable to see a large group of people come together for something that's good. And I think that is what we need to start highlighting more, because obviously we're always inundated with negativity. But there is a lot of good being done from people who have never actually met each other in person, which is pretty remarkable.
100%. It's a really cool time. What have you learned about yourself, through this journey as a founder, as a CEO? What has been the light bulb moment for you, if any, that reached you at your core, at your, with your soul, touch your soul and said, hey, this is what I've learned about myself?
I think the easiest way to put it would be that I have learned that I'm resilient and capable in this way. I've overcome a lot of stuff in my life. This type of business was, like I said, nothing that I've ever done before. And so I think, like every human, there's self-doubt. There's imposter syndrome. Is this really going to work? And there's this really amazing, I'm sure you've seen it, this LinkedIn post about what a founder's journey is, where it's the opposite of like the monkey to caveman to human. It's the opposite. It's like we're always on our knees, and then we get picked back up again. And it's such a great depiction of what that founder life is like. And so I will say, I've just learned that I am resilient in ways that I never knew that I was before. And that's and I always try and remind myself, not only are we 9 months old, barely, but we've done a lot. I've done a lot. I'm very proud of what we've done with Hippie Water up until this point. And I think just seen different skills in myself that I didn't know were there before. And that's a cool feeling. That's a cool feeling of validation in a space that could easily go the opposite direction. So I'm always trying to remind myself, like, well, look at what we've built, and that's pretty cool. So and this makes me also excited. It's that very much that, like, practice what you preach. One of the reasons I created my podcast, yes, to amplify women's health, but also women in business. And if I can create a successful business as a woman, that is rewarding in itself. And where does that go? Hippie Water is a baby. Like, absolutely, it's my baby. I want it to grow. I want it to succeed. I want it to be a major player. But I do have this bug for creating in multiple different ways. So, Hippie Water, and there's an and now, which I'm also proud of. It's like, take what you've learned, nourish it, grow this awesome business. And then take that knowledge and where else are we going to place it? So, that's an exciting feeling as well, is learning on our feet, being scrappy, figuring it out, and, being able to implement that in other things, being able to help other people with it. So, yeah.
Amazing. Well, you're on your way. I mean, you're doing it. You're doing it every day. And I see the big vision and the desire and the passion, the excitement. And, it's so cool when you have that multifaceted touch and reach. You can do so many different things that intersect. It's really cool, really special. What advice, to someone who's becoming radical, what advice would you give to other women or anyone looking to enter the cannabis or wellness space as entrepreneurs? What would you suggest to them?
Advocate for yourself. I know that might seem a little strange, but I think the reason I'm saying that is because I've had to advocate for myself in so many different fields, not just this one, from health to business to personal life to everything. And I think that especially for women in cannabis, there's not a lot of us out there, and being resilient in the way where we never take no for an answer. There someone will open that door. You might have to fight your way in, but there are doors that can be opened. And it's a community-based thing, like anything. I hate to say networking because I'm really, really bad at kissing people's ass. It's not something that I enjoy. But what I have, and I refuse to do it. What I have found though, is the power of community and like-minded individuals. So if you can get yourself into a room, believe in yourself so much that you are able to advocate for yourself in front of other people. I think it's the greatest skill, not just for this one, but for life in general. And, I know that if I know I can do something, it will happen one way or the other. And I've been really lucky. I don't think I quite understood it when I was younger, when it came to networking. I was very much on the acting side, very much like, do your job, do it well, do it to the best of your ability. Those are all great qualities. But I was never good at the agenda side of the industry. I always equated, I saw around me that people were getting ahead by kissing ass, and I just couldn't do it. But now, as an adult, I realize, it's not just about doing a good job. It's not just about, doing something to the best of your ability. It's actually about connection. And I call it connection instead of networking, because I do the best that I can now to make sure that I connect with people that are like-minded, and some people that I want to build with. And it's less about an agenda and more about, we see eye to eye, and I like the way that you think, and I want to work with you, and I want to rise with you. So if you can find the people that you want to rise with, I think you will inevitably be successful. And so that is something that's my goal when it comes to meeting people and rubbing shoulders, and like women in cannabis. I've met so many amazing women in cannabis. And that is just looking out for like-minded people that you want to grow with. Doesn't necessarily mean financial gain exactly, but it's just seeing each other in that space, advocating for somebody else in a room. There's a lot of brands, like I was saying, that I really enjoy in our space. And so, if it's not me, I want it to be you. Like, let's both be on the shelf together. It doesn't have to be or one or the other. And so I think, that's my advice is be able to be a voice for yourself and find like-minded people. That's how you'll get
wonderful advice. It's one of, honestly, the best advice I've heard in a long time from people we've talked to here and elsewhere. You said connection, and I think that's so huge, connecting with people, right? Trying to find people who you connect with, who you support, who, there's a value exchange. They're adding value to you in some way, and you're adding value to them. It's so big, right? And if we can do more and more of that, everyone can gain in more than one way. It doesn't always have to be financial. It could be in a lot of different ways, right? The more you learn, the more you know, the more you feel connected. It's a big thing. So brilliant advice. Awesome. I love it. I'm sure our community will too. Yeah. I guess this goes back to the community. Where can they find you? Where can they find you, Sasha? Where can they find Hippie Water? Where can they follow along? What does that look like?
Absolutely. Easy one is hippiewater.com. That is our website where you can purchase us and get us shipped right to your door. Socials, on Instagram, I'm Sasha Pieterse. It's a hard name to spell. SASHAPIETERSE. And My Hippie Water on Instagram. We're also on TikTok. We're everywhere. And if you're interested, my podcast is called Women in the Nude. So you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts.
Amazing. Well, this has been wonderful. Great conversation. You're an amazing person. I don't know you that well, but what I do know is amazing. Incredible
Good connection,
journey.
Right? I'm so happy to connect with you, Michael.
Exactly. Incredible journey. And thank you for your time today. Everything will be in the show notes for our community. They'll be following along. We'll be cheering you on every step of the way as you continue to become radical in the space. And look forward to having you back on the show soon.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Becoming Radical. If today's episode sparked something in you, follow wherever you listen, join the conversation, and share it with someone ready to think beyond limits. Be unlimited, be bold, and become radical. See you next time.